into Beltway Radio and beyond, which can mean one and only thing. This is Chip Chat. Welcome to Chip Chat, everybody. I am Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just told him, buddy.
All right, well, welcome back to me.
Yes, welcome back to you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I finally did some work.
You did a show.
Yeah, our show.
I like the title. I think it's already taken, but
It is. It's definitely taken. But, we're workshopping some things.
Yeah. Do you think, so how'd you like doing the show?
I mean, I like talking, obviously. Not as much as you.
Nobody.
I know.
Like nobody on the planet. My dad's like the only person on the planet who can talk as much as you is Larry. And that's like why we did the show for so long.
Right.
And now he lives in Seattle, which makes sense because it balances the country out.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
So one of the two of us is always talking, depending on where the sun is.
Definitely. Yeah, but no, I enjoyed it. You know, me and Ye go back a long time, so we had fun.
You prepared.
I did. Yeah, we did some loose preparation.
I saw the document.
Yeah.
I looked at it. You did writing.
There was some stuff. Yeah, you know,
it wasn't 15 pages.
It wasn't 15 pages. I tried to weave in what we do here into that. You know,
I saw you explain him the word thing.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, "What is this?"
But no, Bryan has called me out where I was stumbling to find a word, and I was filibustering for like 10 minutes to get to that. Yeah. So
speaking of filibustering, apparently MTG and Bobo got in an actual war of words on the floor because Bobo offered articles of impeachment against Biden for man and that. And then MTG was like, "No, it's my turn." And she called her the B word.
On the floor?
Bobert. Right to her face. You said, "You stupid little Bobert." Yeah, right to her face on the floor.
All right. Well, I mean, decorum has been gone. That's how long ago?
It was in Nashville, I heard.
Oh, God. Okay, I don't know. Give me that one. Yeah, but decorum's been gone since what? Gingrich, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. Like, this is not a new thing.
Yeah. You're already gone with "you lie." And,
oh, God. I have that on my phone saved.
Yeah, that's a great sound.
Speaking of
great sounds.
It's so good.
That's not true.
Not true.
I saw like a cameo that Barrio did with the what's her name from Abbott Elementary? Quinta Brunson.
Yeah.
And
at first I thought you meant Barrio was on Cameo, and I'm like, what is
nobody can afford that?
I was gonna say,
I'm sure he would do it. And somebody, donate to the library or whatever. No, but nobody could afford it. But he did, like, he met up with her and did a selfie video with her for her mom.
Okay.
And even in that instance, first of all, he's cooler than anybody else. Yeah. But he still got the I watched this because she did it on SNL, and I said to my wife, "Could you imagine how much more Barack Obama could have got done if he could actually find the words that he means to say at the moment he needs them?" Like, the greatest gift the Republicans have is the fact that he thinks a little bit longer than anything else.
He's pondering way longer than probably anybody else on this planet.
Yeah, but how many words could have been in all those ahs? There's a lot of ahs.
But I feel like
breaking news. That was fast. Yes. Chris Paul has been traded for former Michigan great Jordan Poole. Chris Paul now has a shorter duration in Washington.
Don't bring the transaction news in.
Okay, what is the breaking news, Bryan?
It does relate. It does relate to the beloved Washington, aka Wizards, or now
the
Boule.
Yeah.
They drafted.
Who we get?
All right, for the number 8 pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Jarris Walker, power forward from Houston.
Aren't we swapping that pick though? Didn't we swap the 8 and 7?
I think we ended up with,
no, we kept it.
We did
kept
keep
the 8.
We got more picks.
And in the Porzingis thing, we got like 100 picks or whatever. Which is all right. Hey, Houston, dynamite team.
Yes.
2 times to the Final Four, looking good. All right. We'll take it.
We'll see.
Who knows?
Shouldn't abolish the draft. Abolish the draft. And
you're just abolishing everything around here.
Let's abolish this draft. Look, everybody be free agents. Come on now.
I want to get rid of the lottery. The lottery needs to go.
Yeah.
The
Get rid of the lottery for sure. But like, everybody be free agents. You want everybody to be on the Knicks?
This is the only place.
What are you doing
This
here?
is the only place that's this. Like in America, we're so socialist with sports.
Yes.
It's insane.
How could Charlotte or like, Nevada compete against New York or LA? No, but I mean, nominally, shut up.
That's my point right there. That's what I'm like.
Okay,
Abolish the draft.
Milwaukee would not be the powerhouse that they are. They would not be in contention. Milwaukee is a tiny, tiny city compared to the big ones. There's not a chance the market's there to get somebody like Giannis. And all of a sudden, they're in the news.
Sorry. No one wants to live in Kenosha or anywhere up there.
No, of course not. They all live in Chicago.
Right, exactly. So,
my kids asked me, where does Chicago end? I said, Milwaukee.
Oh, God.
It's true.
Yeah, and anyways, that's a whole different show.
All right, we're way off topic. We have a guest this week. You may have heard of him. He's way out of our league, but he's back to visit us. Substantial is going to be here. Also, I want to remind everybody, you might not know it, but the PoMCs have a show coming up on Sunday. Yes, the actual PoMCs reunited.
Dope.
Back out new music.
Dope. Okay.
Patrick was sitting right where you
are.
Yeah. And was like kind of hinting at it, but he wasn't willing to say.
Right.
And the whole time he's sitting on a whole freaking album.
Yeah, no, that's the way that's the way you do it now, right?
Man, and I have like kid birthday party and shit to do.
Oh, you sound so excited. I know.
Look, I love my children and I want them to have fun and all that stuff, but I haven't seen DP and Patrick together, like, I mean, socially, yeah, but I haven't seen them like on stage together in a really long time, and I would really love to go see that.
That Propublica shirt, I just saw that. That's a great
shirt. I wore it on purpose.
That's a great shirt.
It's relevant for tonight.
It is. All the awards are done, okay? It's over with.
Give Propublica.
It's over with. It's just, it's done.
J. Scott Smith's got to give them a couple of his Murrows.
This is done.
They don't even do broadcasts. They're getting some Murrows.
It's over with. That's a wrap.
They have killed it lately.
Every one of them.
Which good, because I'm giving them a ton of money.
Good. There you go.
That's one of my sustainings. All right. There's a lot of other news this week. We've got a new Trump prosecutor. His name's Brett Baer. He works for Fox News of all places. I don't know if you saw that.
I've seen clips of that. Was kind of like, what happened?
I watched Fox News filter through MSNBC.
What happened?
Dynamite.
What happened?
He asked him words.
We're in a weird situation. CNN is Fox and Fox is CNN. What's going on?
He was like, but you lost. And Trump's like, excuse me. And he was like, yeah. He was doing the sniffle thing. Yeah. He's busted then. And Bear like listed off all of the people who
that
he
was
hired.
Insane.
Who he then
that's what
I
heard
bunch of names.
Yeah. He's like, but 1 out of 10 or 10 to 1.
Yeah. He's like, the other ones were great. They're like,
oh God,
Rudy?
Yeah.
The other ones are in jail, you idiot.
You're next.
Yep. Okay.
It's house arrest.
Texas has some serious heat waves going on, so naturally Ted Cruz is on his way to Cancun. The FBI is full of super cautious people. Shocking.
It's cooler in Cancun than in Texas.
That is very true, actually, at the moment. The Virginia primaries this week.
No,
there's some actual news about that, and we might try going into the fall. We might get noted VA Dem expert Charlie back on the show to like give us a rundown and prognosticate, but good stuff mostly. Most of the people I voted for won. There were no bad choices. Sorry.
There were no bad choices.
Well, there's one, and we're going to talk about him because he's our favorite on the show.
I was going to say, I saw it, and I was like, I know that. I knew that was coming up. When I saw that, I said, oh, I know this is
Fighting Joe.
Fighting Joe.
All right. And then some weird shit is going on down in North Carolina. And I don't mean the regular weird shit that normally is going on in North Carolina, but like, whoa. Also, we'll talk about Scalito.
Oh, God.
It's going to be a show. Are you ready? Are you ready for tonight?
Week off. No, I'm not ready. I didn't have a week off.
Well, you had to do your show.
Exactly.
You didn't have to tolerate me yelling about stuff.
Oh, no,
that's your show. Easy. There we go. There's a time. Your show.
Your show. It's great. We're workshopping it.
Just call it like chipless chat.
Chipless chat.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a mouthful, but it's but it makes the point.
Well, all right. You know what?
If you get 1 million more follows or views, it would prove a lot of things
Hey,
that I've been
look
thinking
here.
for a long time.
Call in your suggestions, 301-761-1040.
The phone lines do exist. I am paying for them.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. But if you do want your own show,
we'll talk. I
know a guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Who nominally is a third of a network.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one, in fact.
I think I do a show with him.
Okay. Yeah, that's a guy. All right. You got a word?
Yes, I do this week.
All right.
Filibustering.
No filibustering. I also have a word. Let's see if this works together.
Usually does. We'll see.
So sit back, grab some
accountability.
It's submarine time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Oh my goodness. Early? No. Oh, no.
Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
All right, so now we've come to what is, I think, going to be a recurring part of the show. It's called indictment updates.
Oh, yeah, we're good for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, however long this takes.
Literally, when we started this show back in 2015, we wrote jokes. And then in 2016, we learned we could just point at the newspaper and go, hey, look at this shit. And we've been doing that ever since. And now the golden goose that keeps on giving is back at it. Your buddy. Delay. Oh, look at that. That's a great image, Bryan.
Delay. I have not seen the sketches. Oh God, that is.
You know what they should change?
I have not seen. I've been waiting because I knew
he looks like a Mr. Grinch's uncle.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss character. He looks like if a kid was supposed to draw like the grasshopper that didn't save enough food for the winter, looking in at the ants. He's like, goddamn ants. You can see him saying it, right?
Oh God. Anyway,
they should change his name to Tom. You know why?
Why?
Because all he loves to do is delay.
Oh God.
That is a bad Congress joke.
That's such a bad Congress. Get one bill for that.
All right. So anyway, Donnie's in trouble.
Yeah, over something he didn't need to be.
Something that he obviously could have got out of.
This is crazy.
He just gave him back.
This is so crazy that
it's very obvious because they like hit that point in the indictment several times. We asked for this back, they give it back. Then these agency asked for it back, they give it back. Then we serve a subpoena, still didn't give it back. Like we would have given it back. And they were like, notably, they even wrote it in there. Notably, we found 197 other documents that he took.
Didn't even care.
But that he gave back. And so we didn't charge.
Yeah. They're back. We don't care.
These guys cannot help themselves from criming. But there is something to know, okay? That lady who is a fake judge.
Who, Aileen?
Aileen.
She's not a fake judge.
She's an actual judge.
Yeah, she's a real judge.
Just according to her bosses in the 11th Circuit, she's an idiot because they slapped her down several times.
Yeah,
like a rag doll. She set a date, August 14th, I think is what they said, when the trial's supposed to start. And there's this thing about American justice, which is that you have a right to confront the evidence presented against you, which essentially means the prosecutors have to give your defense team everything they got so that you have a chance to interrogate it and get witnesses and ask all the questions, right? this is a good thing. It's
Yes.
fair.
Yeah.
This should be how it goes. In places where this doesn't happen, it sounds weird to us because this is how it should go.
Right.
There's a problem, though, that a lot of the evidence that the feds are holding
It's classified.
is classified.
So
So if you give it to a guy who already leaks everything you give him or sells it to anybody or to his lawyers who might not be his lawyers in 2 days,
no.
that presents a very serious problem.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the government does have a bit of a solution to this. In 1980, they passed this thing called SEPA, okay, which stands for something or other. No, it's the Classified Information Procedures Act. It basically sets up ways for the lawyers in a criminal trial that involves sensitive information to be able to see the information, exchange the information, kind of redact it in some ways that, but like maybe we'll show it to them in chambers and then they'll have to refer to as document A
Right.
later. Maybe the jury can see it in chambers, but they can't show it in open court. Like, this is sensitive stuff. Like the stuff that he stole, that he admits to stealing, by the way,
Right.
is like nuclear secrets.
It's gonna be on Cuban radio before. I'm telling you, it's gonna go to a jury and it's gonna be on Cuban radio.
Yeah, sure.
But
Like, at least do the right thing the best you can.
yeah, they're gonna try.
Let's not just broadcast this stuff widely for everybody to see it. So like that right there presents this opportunity for the Trump team to delay and delay and delay and delay. And that is basically his
been
entire
his strategy.
legal
It's his
strategy for
career.
decades. Today, was it today or yesterday, the prosecution turned over their evidence. They gave it into the court and they're like, this is what we're going with. Figure out how to get this in front of the guys. We got to move. You set a date. We want a speedy trial. We don't want this guy to delay anything. Jack Smith is like, throw this dude under the jail tomorrow. He's ready. And so they turned over some of the evidence, but I don't know exactly how they're gonna manage this. For starters, as this article from the Post points out, Trump needs at least one lawyer and probably more than one with a security clearance or able to get a security clearance.
How are they gonna get a security clearance?
Well, most of them are implicated in the crime.
That's what I'm saying. How are they
They're
gonna get one?
co-defendants or state's evidence. How are they going to do that? They already had to pierce a attorney-client attorney privilege once because Evan Corcoran, his lawyer, who is still representing him in the Manhattan case, by the way, crimed all this stuff with him. He helped him hide all the documents. And the dude, Walt, he still doesn't have a lawyer because he can't find one in Florida who's willing to represent him.
Well, just back to the initial point of this being delayed. Getting a security clearance, I mean, for some folks, I assume it can be easy, but this is a process. So just adding that alone, and imagine how many times one lawyer fails, got to find a new lawyer to do it. This is going to go on. I mean, I don't see this. This is going to go on for like 3 or 4 years.
I think at some point they're going to have to appoint him certain lawyers who are cleared.
That's crazy. He's going to get public.
He's going to get a court-appointed lawyer.
Public defender.
He's going to get a public defender
who
is cleared, who can stand in and review the documents for the team at any given moment. Because one of the things that Jack Smith has made very clear and that the Justice Department has made very clear is they will go to absolutely the ends of the earth to make sure this is a fair trial.
Yeah,
because they do not want to allow for grounds for appeal on bad representation, lack of access to evidence, any of that stuff. So they're gonna give this guy way more benefit of the doubt in every possible instance. Continuance, you need it. Get this guy, we'll pay for it. Like whatever you need. Special masters will do it. Like they will do everything to make this as above board as possible so that when they do throw him under the jail, it sticks.
I don't know. I love the quote in here. It's like the preparation of those materials takes an inordinate amount of time. And it may be that the only way you can review the discovery materials is in there, inside
in a skiff.
Yeah, skiff. And quote, you can't put it on a laptop and read it on the train. There's a lot of limitations on access that extend the process of review. So extend the process. This process is, or we know this is going to go on forever. This is why, again, and this is his idea, obviously, is to become president again.
And then squash it.
Yeah, this is over with. Plan. Imagine if he gets, this is over with like that.
Well, and those third-party idiots are helping. They better knock that shit off. Knock it off. Joy had the guy on today and was like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" And the guy's like, "What? We think this is, the bipartisan." She's like, "Not now, idiot! Not now! Not now!"
Don't worry, JFK Jr. will save us.
Right when he comes back.
Yeah,
with 5 kinds of caffeine, Turbo Force. Speaking of the Turbo Force, the FBI. Okay. The Post had an exclusive this week. We're not giving all the Pulitzers away to Propublica because the Post has been doing some good reporting. This was good reporting.
This was good reporting.
Okay. Carol Lenning, dynamite reporter. She's the one that seems to get into all the national security apparatus. She knows everything. Did this deep dive into why it took so long for the DOJ to come around on bringing any charges or even having the investigation into January 6th. Vis-a-vis Trump, not the lackeys, not your cousin, not those guys. Yeah. Those guys, they started the investigation immediately.
Yeah.
But they were like, well, should we move ahead on Trump or not? Was he the puppet master? They were like, yeah, he's the puppet master, but we don't know. That's a great picture.
Sorry.
Good job, Bryan.
If you're watching,
Bryan is killing it at the graphics.
Oh my God. That picture took me
with the flat top.
Flat top, yeah. Look at that.
Oh my God,
big Gumby energy.
Yeah.
That is yes. Oh God, that just.
All right. So, what did the Post say was the thing that delayed the FBI and the DOJ on this investigation?
Was it the actual deal, the outgoing DOJ?
No. What they're saying, what the Post is reporting is that Garland and those folks were so worried about appearing partisan that they wanted to really slow walk this and check every single box before they moved anything ahead.
Sometimes
I can buy on its surface.
I think he's a sucker. I'm sorry, because he does not sometimes move. After what has happened, he moved I get to be cautious around this, but that can't be the answer. I get why that's the answer, but it's if the rule of law is to mean anything.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing because sometimes he feels very it just feels like, you can't treat it with kid gloves. Jack Smith doesn't seem and I get, let me be, I guess, a little more.
You're skipping several steps.
Yeah,
here.
Because Merrick Garland, he is right. He's the attorney general under Biden,
and he's the attorney general of the whole
country. So I understand where he might want to remove himself from certain things.
Understandable.
It's understandable. But sometimes it just feels like he's moving with kid gloves. And if this is the case for here, I'm thinking it's the outgoing DOJ or people something that no, it's the existing one that's coming.
Well, so Garland's got this problem. Our system relies on the executive branch appointing people and then, confirming. And so people often talk about, oh, it's a Trump appointed this person or it's a Biden appointed this person. And
it's a terrible way to go about it.
It is bad.
So bad.
It's a bad way to talk about it because it implies that these people are somehow beholden and they can't operate on their own. And the vast majority of U.S. attorneys and all of these technically political appointees are mostly apolitical.
Yeah.
They're mostly operating on just the facts, ma'am, kind of way of doing things. And that's the way it's supposed to be, especially within DOJ. If you can remember back to Clinton getting whacked by Reno all the time, right? Because he appointed somebody who was going to be independent and she was like, yeah, I'm independent. I work for this guy.
Yeah.
I work for the American people.
Yeah.
And Clinton took his whooping several times because Janet was not playing around
at all.
Okay. Garland, to me, moves like a guy who's holding 5 aces and knows he's got 5 aces. And he's willing to let the other guys just keep throwing money in the pot and screwing around until eventually he's like, all right, whack. And he just drops that shit.
I hope that's the case. I mean, I just don't think that you can,
I don't believe this story, though.
You don't believe?
I don't believe this story. Not that Lenning isn't a great reporter. She is. She's never wrong. I think there is lots of evidence that the political brass within DOJ was trying to manage this carefully so as not to allow. You got to understand that for the Fox News world, literally anything they do is going to be perceived as political, witch hunt, a hoax, and whatever. They're just going to make it up.
Right.
You may as well just plow ahead.
That's where I'm at with it.
The reason I think, and I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here.
Oh, God.
That they're not moving ahead with this is there is too much sympathy for the January 6th attack within the ranks of the FBI. And so it was a process of getting the right people in charge who are going to actually run these things to ground, manage the field agents properly, do all of that stuff to get the evidence moving in the right direction. Because I don't think this is true of the upper level. And I think that the vast majority of G-men are straight up G-men, and they are like, completely serious, unfun feds.
Right.
Like when you say the feds, this is who you mean. Guys in the black suits with the sunglasses who never talk. That's who you're talking about. Men in black. But there are a not small number, I would say 10 or 15%, who came up as cops, who had that force protection mentality, who buy into this sort of white supremacist, right-wing, ethno-nationalist bullshit, who are like, yeah, all right, these guys took some swings at cops and nobody got too badly hurt and everything's mostly fine.
Nobody got too badly
Let them
hurt.
go. Yeah, and I mean, they're out there justifying it the same way half of Congress is justifying it. They're tourists. They just blown off steam. It was a handful of bad actors. There's no calculated plot. It was a riot that got out of hand. There is a lot of people, elected officials, who are able to willfully ignore the fact that this is a wide-ranging, deep conspiracy that started in the White House and went all the way down to the foot soldiers at the Capitol.
But I guess then, if we bring it back to the voters, don't the voters lose at this point?
They've been losing.
But I'm saying, but
and they don't care.
But the voters elected Joe Biden.
The voters elected Joe Biden. But what I'm saying is Republican voters,
right,
completely believe all this stuff.
Can't worry. I don't think you can worry about that. I think you get elected. Something happened right before the inauguration. Not something happened. Probably again the worst tragedy in our country. I mean, it's probably this in the
9/11 in the Civil War.
It's those three, right?
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
The war between the states.
I'm sorry. Yes,
sorry.
Brian,
Sorry.
thank you,
Yes,
Professor Bryan.
Thank you so much
of
for the correction.
Of the fine Commonwealth.
Yeah. To me, Trump lost, Biden won. There was a siege on the Capitol, and there's one area of the government that needs to come down and drop the hammer and prosecute these folks.
I agree with that. I mean, I think at some point it just goes, these guys are not going to care no matter what you do.
Yeah.
You can, and every...
Neither of those guys in the FBI. Like, neither of those guys, those foot soldiers in the FBI, they'll defect.
Yeah.
Or they'll shut up and kind of like, I like my job.
They'll knuckle under.
Yeah.
I mean, they're recording they recorded an album with the people sitting down there at the DC jail on C Street because they think they're political prisoners.
Okay, yeah.
Trump recorded an album of them singing into the payphones and him reading the Pledge of Allegiance over them singing the national anthem. I'm not making any of that up. You can go listen to it.
Christ.
And they're regarding them as political prisoners. MTG's down there every day visiting her people in the DC gulag, as she calls it.
That's
the Gazpacho police or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it's true. Like these people, they're not going to believe anything. Everybody's been convicted of seditious conspiracy. They've been convicted like 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
Like no cracks in the nothing. Like, and the DOJ has batting 1,000 at anything? Shit. The only thing that that the Republicans have been able to do with justice that consistent is Durham losing cases. They're that bad. I mean, come on. But none of them are going to believe it. Gates was up there haranguing Durham at his hearing. Why didn't you convict those guys? He's like, this is the evidence we had. It's not enough. And Gates is like, you didn't look hard enough. He's like, this is all there is.
I mean, everybody's up there to fundraise. That's all they're there. They're there to talk.
Some of them are fundraising. Some of them believe it.
I mean, yeah, but they believe it to fundraise. They believe it to keep getting money into their pocket.
I think some of them believe it. I think some of them think that there is some sort of vast conspiracy. But I take your point. At some point, the DOJ needs to hold up the law.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the show several times. This is what the fucking law says. This is what it says. This is what you did under the jail. Now, under it. To get Mo with you. Like you have done the crime, do the time, get the fuck. At some point.
It has to be there. Because again, as I think going again back to the voters, I don't think there's any at this point with elections, you really can't you can't get people to be like, oh, I'm not showing up because I don't, whatever. Like, I went out and voted. We're not prosecuting these people. What does this even matter? Like,
yeah, you can't have that.
Because we know it. Because again,
that gives them.
Yeah, we know what that's going to happen.
Right. And you're not going to convince MTG that this is what the law says and this is what he did. Now he's got to go to jail. She's going to go, that's not what the law says. Or this is not what he did.
We don't agree with the law.
Yeah, right.
We don't agree with
what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Told you this is a scary place when white folks stop following white folks' rules. They write these rules, and now other white folks isn't even following these rules.
We are perilously close to the war between the states again. I mean, this is the same problem where the agreed upon framework is breaking down in front of us. And
again, they were like, you can keep your slaves.
Yeah.
They were like, yo, and
there was an agreement in place.
Yo, it's like, yo, you can
3/5, baby.
Keep it. It's okay.
Just give Missouri up.
Yeah, just don't expand.
It could have all broke down along Missouri.
Yes, easily.
It's the last time Missouri's mattered since Mizzou made the Final Four. Like,
look, so I mean, I don't know.
I'm kidding. Kansas City won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say what?
But Trump thinks it's in Kansas.
Kansas, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, you have to prosecute these folks. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes to me, I get why Garland he moves. He doesn't. I don't know. Sometimes for me,
get over yourself, guys. They're not going to buy it. They're just not going to buy it.
Because to me, it's almost like they're playing by the old rules, and there's new rules right now.
They're playing cricket, and we're all playing baseball.
And it's like, yo, look, can't allow these folks to have control again. I was never the one to believe in the supermajority. Never really thought, but at this point, I don't know how you get shit done. How do you govern without a supermajority?
There is nobody's interested in governing.
No.
Well,
there's one party that is.
Well, future Speaker Jeffries was out there like beating the hell out of him today. Yeah. He was up there in the well. Yo, even Nancy, or as I call her, Nancy, was up there. Like, she goes, this is the chamber that abolished slavery and instituted Medicare and Social Security, and these fucking guys can't do anything. And she was like mad. And she knows because she was there when they abolished slavery.
Oh, God, Jesus Christ. Anyways, you're going out a tricky path with that one. Look here.
I love Pelosi.
Well, I mean,
I've got a poster of her in my house.
Yeah, she's probably one
pointing at Trump, telling him to get lost.
She's probably, she might go down as one of the. She might be one of the greatest
speaker in modern times to lose the speakership and regain it.
But I think she might be the greatest. Like,
she's up there.
Up like as a politician, this country's ever seen.
She's up there with Rayburn and all of them.
Yeah, she's there.
Yes,
like,
Tip O'Neill, all that. All right, here's what we're gonna do. DOJ, get your shit together. Put them under the jail. Do the job. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break.
Yes.
We're gonna play a song from our guest. And when we come back, we are going to talk to somebody who has no business being on our air. And we're gonna ask him a bunch of very dumb questions, and then we're gonna see if he can play the game.
Yeah,
that he's a big part of.
His game.
His game. All right, you're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Swips.
1, 2, 3, 4. You have this song selection. You deal with scientists. Jada Kiss is a scientist. Buckshot, they're scientists, man. They're craftsmen. Substantial, they're scientists, man.
Clap for me. Makes me look fantastic. Can you back for me? DJ, bring it back for me. Let me stretch and get loose so I black on it. triple R to y'all rap read. Bitches stretch money instead of truth, rhyming business. Enough flow to fill a ravine, you should bring pictures. When the beat got that swing, you gon' need pictures. On the mound, throwing it down, stand delivers. All pro, I ain't a goddamn beginner. Picks out the show and let a man eat dinner. Too focused on A to see what plan B get us. Now we fade with some gray on the sides. Omni-Man stand when that pen and paper collide. They lied and said you was the truth, but now your status denied. This life forever die, waiting for the pain to subside. Ooh, classic over trendy, bro, I'm still here. Holla at me in a decade if they still care. When you fall and bounce back, if they still cheer, then you're worthy to wield the mic like this millionaire. I'm still in here, still prepared to take what I earn. Y'all some build-a-bears and built the bear, the weight of the world. I've been the realest here, that's on my soulmate and my girls. Who you feel compared to me really ain't my concern. Is he dope? Ain't the bakers, most will say he underrated. A couple takes to state that he a great or just the greatest. Some artists focus less on albums, just don't make a playlist. I choose the former, but I hope the latter choose my latest.
Clap for me, thanks for Mr. Fantastic, can you clap for me? DJ, bring it back for me. Let me stretch and get loose for I black on it. For the poppers, lockers, God bodies, rosters, hip hoppers, now for the imposters. Nah, bro, recognize I spit up when you spot one. Learn from a show stopper.
Mr. Fantastic, party of four, dope in audio form. What's a god to record? Bunch of beasts like Benny on the stage with the boys. You hope to have a good show. Bro, I came to destroy the pit, giving out work like I came to employ. Joyce and Rock on the mic when I'm making a point. Sorcerer in the stew when I conjure up joints. Come and fetch this blessing that I came to anoint. For where we rock, new balance, but struggle with old vices. And high blood pressure be coming with low prices. For the virus, we've been dealing with known crisis. Transform from old dog to old Cyrus. Now we can't blame these joints like arthritis. While God guide us, peacemakers and born fighters. Got homies with more seeds to put fires. Trying to find peace while writing them papyrus. Denied them equal rights and living wages. And couldn't see the gods that we are to hitting stages. Best kept secret like Bibles with hitting pages. Best source of raw hip hop and entertainment. My life's a hip hop quotable thing published yet. Slept on by the masses till I left a few with rubbernecks. Took a swing at rapping and I sent it to the upper deck. Only other language that I'm fluent in is cut the check.
Clap for me, thanks for Mr. Fantastic, can you rap for me? DJ, bring it back for me. Let me stretch and get loose for I black on it. For the poppers, lockers, God bodies, rosters, hip hoppers, now for the imposters. Nah, bro, recognize I spit up when you spot one. Learn from a show stopper.
We get into the science of the fact. And that's the beauty of it. And that the average person doesn't know that, and they get treated like pop music. Top 40, shaken to the lights, as I say.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
All right, I don't think our guest really needs any introduction. He's a DC hip hop legend. He's the center of so many connections and networks, and like most of us, he married way up. Substantial. Welcome back to Chip Chat.
Peace, fam. What's going on? How you feeling?
Oh man, I really didn't want to like interrupt the music to talk to you, but
At
I guess
all.
that's what we're here for.
And then you came on with this beautiful mic.
Yeah,
It's,
he sounds so buttery and
yes,
good. You know,
so really.
Hey, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
If you're looking on the video, you can see the salt and pepper look that he's rocking, which features on the new record. So I want everybody to put the visual with that. So we have you here because you have new music out, but basically we could have said that 3 times this year because like you keep having new records like coming out.
Yeah.
All this music pour out of you so fast lately, and can we slow it down a little because I need some time to process.
Man, listen, you know, it's a blessing to still be able to do it for as long as I've been doing it. So, I mean, part of it is, you know, just the amount of activity happening behind the scenes, but a lot of it is just, you know, like I run a company with my wife and we help people, you know, we help people market what they do. We help them better monetize what they do. So a lot of times, you know, as I'm learning different things in the industry, before we test it out to see if it's effective for certain clients and stuff, you know, I try it out like with my stuff, with my own stuff. So I have some actual research that I was directly involved with to see how it plays out. And so, so part of that is this whole strategy of, you know, rather than dropping 1 or 2 singles and then dropping a full album or just dropping an album out the blue, I mean, the industry nowadays is kind of like the 50s almost, right? Or the 60s, where it's like it's very single driven. And so, you know, which is problematic in some ways, but, you know, I'm a dude I'm all about the concept and making an album that's cohesive.
Right.
But at the same time, playing this game, understanding that as I work on a project that's cohesive, I need to make sure these songs can stand on their own, and then apply release strategies that will make the record benefit overall. So that's what it is. It feels like it's a ton of music, but it's all a part of this one album that I've been putting together for quite some time.
So the Adultish album is like all of this kind of wrapped up together, or
Yeah, absolutely. Like the first single from it dropped back in October of last year before I went to Romania, and so and then as we were prepping for that, rolled out another single, which was Reed Richards, the one you just played. Right. And then took a little bit of time off because I had to travel again. And after the new year, then we picked things back up and dropped You Grown, dropped 1580, then Salt and Pepper, and then we just dropped Crutch the other Wednesday.
Like after I started writing questions, then like another thing came out. I was like, oh shit, I didn't write anything for it. And and he says I had to travel, like so nonchalant. You were on tour, okay? It's not like I had to travel. You were, going around the world, making the people happy. So like, it's like short there.
Hey, doing what I can, brother. Just keeping myself and these babies off these poles. That's it.
Hey.
Nobody needs to say that, buddy.
Hey, Substantial, what's the biggest misstep people miss in marketing their music? I just heard you said that
we need to get better at this radio show, by the way.
You just said you help folks, you and your wife help folks kind of with marketing and like managing, I guess, what they're producing. But what's the misstep that you see the most that folks have?
I mean, it varies, but I would say that, if you're lucky enough to have any fans, right, any people that care about what you do, the biggest misstep is folks don't spend enough time learning how to properly engage the people who already know, right? You absolutely should be doing what you can to, of course, get more eyes on you, but like, if you're struggling to make that happen, bare minimum, you need to always keep your core fan base. Again, and this is only if you already have some fans, but, keep them engaged, because ultimately these new folks who you're reaching out to, who you want to discover you, when they come over to your page, the first thing they're looking for, they come over to your music, wherever they discover it, they're looking for some activity, right? Because, people are looking, what do we call it? Oh my goodness. A lot of what happens in the industry, we're looking for, oh my God, there's a term we just
like to think for views or engagement or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they want to see how engaged people are with your stuff. But then also for the new fans, what they're looking at is they want to be a part of something, right? They're not just
fuck with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like when you're looking at the YouTube of a song, you click on the one that has 16 views, or do you click on the one that has 300 million views?
Right. And, and so and what I've learned is that, like my stuff doesn't always have like for example, if you go on social media, not every post I have up there has thousands of likes or even hundreds of likes sometimes, right? Like but the key thing is the core audience that I have is usually engaged in almost anything I do, right? And so if I can keep that core audience engaged, basically change your mindset of, of focusing on this huge number. Like, listen, if the ultimate goal is to attract millions, great, good for you. But like, can we get to 50? Let's get to 50 first.
Oh, that's right.
Can we get to 100, right? And then once we get there, and so, I just try to encourage folks is like, man, let's take steps. Like people just want to kind of rush to the top, and they don't realize that like a lot of times when that happens, you fall just as quick because you haven't really learned, you haven't taken certain steps, so you haven't learned much along the way. It's like it's overnight, and so now you're learning in reverse, right? You're figuring out because of your success, now you're looking, or how quick it happened. Now you're looking at everything you missed, and now you're backtracking, trying to, it's like a ship or whatever that has a bunch of holes and like water's coming in, and you're trying to plug everything or whatever so you don't drown. And so yeah, man, I just really encourage folks to take those steps. And y'all might have heard the saying of, focus on 1,000 fans, right? If you can get 1,000 fans to spend $100 on you in a year, if you're making six figures, right? So and that's really been my strategy. It's been a bit more sustainable. I don't always have the biggest records. I've had a couple records that have done millions of streams, and then I got a few that barely broke 1,000, right? But that strategy of keeping my core audience engaged and welcoming new people to the party when they catch on, and then maintaining the quality, right? Like making sure that even though I'm an indie artist, you can put my stuff, whether it's the mix, whether it's the cover design or whatever it is, or the physical media, you can put it next to anyone, mainstream or underground, and it'll hold up. And so, yeah, man.
Well, how can we get like 10 fans? That would be really helpful.
Yeah, man. I think, I think the biggest.
Consistent. I don't know if it's consistently good, but we're doing the same thing all the time.
Right.
Could be the problem.
Yeah. I think micro content helps too. You know what I mean? Because, if you got an hour-long show, definitely trying to, it's something we're
TikTok. Go check us out. We're on TikTok.
I told you, we gotta do
chat.
during the breaks. We gotta do during the breaks, like
the chip chat behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, like
we did the one where I asked you to read all that stuff.
That was insane. Actually,
it got like 6 views. It was pretty good. Pretty high. All right, so let me pivot a little bit to talk about the music, because the new record so far that I've heard, even though I already prepaid for it, and certain tracks haven't been released yet, but that's
thank you, fam.
That works.
That is what I'm paying. I understand.
The hell you
that's
talking
fine. And get it on Bandcamp, by the way, so you can support your artist.
Appreciate you.
The new record has a lot of cool features, a lot of cool people on it. How did you get all that to happen? And how do you? I mean, we know everybody, but how do these features come about? You've got something you want a little help with, or somebody's got something that they want a little help with. How did that come out? Yeah.
A lot of different things. So one of the things, with the sampling, right, on the record, most of the samples are royalty free, but those few times where I wanted to sample something that wasn't royalty free, I made sure it was either an artist I knew personally who had a sound that I thought would work well with the record, because I produced the whole album. So I contacted, shout out to Tamara Wellens. She has this really dope record called You Are on one of her past albums, and it's dope. And she's very much if you're a fan of Jill Scott, you know what I mean, that type of feel, but then throw in some soulful house music with that. And she's super dope. And so I hit her up wanting to sample a record because I had a really great idea for a joint. And then, we talked about how we could collaborate, right? In turn, she let me sample that record, and then I remixed something for her. So I got something that I'm cooking up for her for a future project, right? So, and then other features, shout out to my man Tone Deaf, who mixed and mastered the record. He's somebody I've worked with through Kill and Fire Music over the years. And I've always respected this dude as an artist, but also he's an amazing engineer. And so I knew I wanted somebody like him, if I couldn't get him, to mix the record. Somebody who was a fan, but also does amazing work. And with everybody on the record, that's really what it was. Step into the homie Millen, who I know is a future guest for you guys.
Coming on the show soon. So
yeah.
You just know these guys and you just call them up and be like, hey, can you throw me a lick on the record or what?
Yeah, absolutely. If I hear something that sonically sounds like it would work really well with what they do, then I call them, see if they could do it, and if not, I'd find a way to kind of compensate for what I think they would add. And of course, there's no replacing them, but you figure it out. And so, and that applies to the vocalists on the record. the various musicians, like different types of percussionists, bassists, pianists, and all like the different people who contributed. And that last record you played, shout out to Chuck D. That's who's talking on the intro and the outro. That's from his radio show. He was just talking about me and mentioned me in the same breath with like Jadakiss and other legends. So that was a huge honor. You know what I mean?
He's a big fan of this show, actually.
Word.
Chuck talks to me all the time.
All the time?
Yeah. We're buddies. My kids love Public Enemy.
And we need a sounder whenever you start.
So one of the weirdest things that I was worried about was like when Flavor of Love happened.
Oh, because you thought it would taint it?
I thought that would I would have to explain this is what Flav would be like popular for, and when I had kids and all that. And unfortunately, it's not. But like when I was at the museum and they had the hip hop exhibit, and I was taking pictures of all that, I brought it home and I show my kids, and they go, "Oh, it's Public Enemy," and I was like, "That's right." And I was like so relieved that I was able to skip this period of time. Okay, go ahead. You have real questions.
So that kind of leads me into my question, because I feel like hip hop's in this kind of interesting space right now as the music, we have like elder statesmen in our music now.
50 years now.
Right, where because sometimes I feel like with hip hop, everybody's always like, "Oh, it's a young man's game. It's a young man's game."
Feels new all the time.
But I feel like there's an interesting place in a space that, like, again, the elder statesmen of hip hop, like, they occupy. Where do you see that? Like,
Rakim is on tour,
right? I mean, yeah,
and selling out.
Yeah, and I don't think that's ever gonna stop. But I wonder why we kind of look at our art form and our culture in the sense of that, like, it can't be similar to any other where people are 80.
The Rolling Stones are selling out stadiums in their 80s.
These Grateful Dead concerts keep going on, man.
And why should they not?
So I mean,
they should all be happy.
Yeah, it is, because it's music, right? And
are you calling substantial an elder statesman? I'm not on our airwaves.
I'll take it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it is what it is. Exactly.
Right.
Edge.
Yeah, I think
you could be cutting edge in the elder statesman.
Okay.
No, I think that there's a lot of ageism in hip hop, right? Like both ways. Like
little something.
Yeah, I mean the younger heads, feel like as you get old, like a lot of these dudes are bitter, like some of them corny, et cetera, they're not relevant, a lot of the different things. And then vice versa, right? Like the other way, a lot of the older dudes don't necessarily understand the new trends that are going on in music. They make a ton of blanket statements, which is that's one of the most problematic things just in life, period, is when like you hear a few things you don't like, or even a lot of things you don't like, and then you make a blanket statement saying all of these dudes are bad because of this, right? Or like, I saw something recently from 3 Stacks from Andre 3000 that was just saying there was no freshness in it, and I just felt sorry for him, because I was like, yeah, bro, I don't know what you listening to, but there's a ton of dope stuff I'm discovering over here all the time from a lot of these younger rappers. One
is always mad about kids on his lawn. Like, I'm a huge fan, but like he's like, these kids, they don't know anything, and I'm like, some of them know something.
Yeah, a lot of them know plenty, and And the other problem with this stuff too is like one of my biggest pet peeves is that we oftentimes use the term hip hop when we're really just talking about rap. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And because I'm a dude, when I was on tour, one of the shows we performed at, it was a b-boy battle. You know what I mean? So we weren't even the main part. We were there in support of the b-boys, and like literally the backdrop of the stage is cans of like spray paint stacked in a dope ass pattern. Like, so when people talk about hip hop, I'm like, nah, bro, you talking about rap. You know what I mean? Cause I'm out here and I'm amongst the b-boys. I'm amongst the graffiti artists, the DJs, the MCs, the hip hop educators. Like, these are the circles I move in, and then I also move with the industry people who mainly spend time around rappers and DJs, right? So it's important, right, that when we speak about anything, like, avoiding blanket statements, like being clear when we're talking about rap and not necessarily hip hop, so I just feel like you know, a lot of people are, it's one of those things that I think that hip hop culture in general, man, like we just got to do more bridge building. You know, I do my best. Like this record, it has some younger artists on it, right? And then it has some of my peers on it. You know, and so, you know, I'm an educator too. So I have a very different perspective than I know a ton of old heads do, because they only spend time around people who are in their age group. So they're complaining about groups of people that they're not willing to spend real time with and have meaningful conversation. And when I say that, I'm not talking about just talking to your kids, right? Like, you know how it goes. We go to a family function. All the kids are over here, right? The little kids, they're playing over here. The teenagers, maybe they're in here, right? And then all the old folks, they go to whatever room where you know what I mean? And yeah, bro. And so, and while I get that, but like if we're really serious about you know, quality control and people people understanding like why these things are important, right? Like to our legacy, to the culture, to the artistry. If we want younger people to understand, then I gotta understand that it's our responsibility to have these conversations, to teach them. Because when you point the finger at the youth and talk about how piss poor whatever they're doing is, you're really you're pointing the finger at yourself. That's your failure, fam. Yeah. So you know, I know a ton of youngins who are super dope, and a lot of them who look up and respect me and reach out to collab and stuff like that. And I understand that's a part of my legacy. And so, you know, yeah, man. That's more like 50 cents than 2 cents, but yeah.
That's why we have you here. Like, that's part of the thing, you know. Like, I used to think about when I would go play basketball in the afternoon. I used to have a job where I get off like at a reasonable time. I go play ball at the court next to my apartment with, like, you know, these are like middle school and like early high school kids, and like I wasn't there to like go break ankles and stuff. I was there to like shoot around,
to run,
but have some fun and like, you know, just be a presence.
Right.
And that really matters. And I learned a lot from those kids.
That's the thing. I think that's the two-way street, is that, you know, you speak to these kids and you listen to them like, oh, wow. Okay.
Like they can see what a grown-up looks like who still is out there and playing ball and like hanging out or whatever. But then also like I can see what they're doing and be like, hey, man, maybe that's not the right way. You know, you might want to watch out, you know, whatever.
Or I saw this X, Y, and Z
I've seen
before.
This happen. You know, I was there. Let me tell you about when it happened to me.
Right.
You know, speaking of things that happened to me, you mentioned about bridge building. And one of the things that we talk about on this show often is the lack of infrastructure in DC hip hop. And a big proponent of the DC hip hop infrastructure is Priest. He's always going on about that. Now he's got a new video out that's got some views. It's not quite as many as 140,000 views, which he got by having me in one of his videos. So the question is, when are you gonna? And ADST's got a new record out too. It's 200,000. I'm not even in that record. I don't know how he did it, but when are you gonna make a video featuring me?
We need a sounder when he does this.
So you can break 1 billion.
Right. I mean, the cool thing is, man, we plan on shooting videos for most of the record. We have 3 videos shot for the album yet. I'm waiting for the album to drop, and then we're gonna start releasing the visuals for it to extend the life of the record. But yeah, man, absolutely, bro. I'll keep you posted, man. You know, look, this excuse is gonna sound a bit like a flex, and we'll let it be that. But only one of the videos so far was shot in the U.S., right? Like, so I think
wedding type shit, man.
Yeah, we shot one was shot in Uganda, the other one was shot in Romania while I was out there, and then the only one that was shot here was at National Harbor after we did MagFest. So yeah, man, the rest of them will be shot here because there's no major travel happening anytime soon. I'm just really locked in trying to get everything together.
I can hook you up. You know, I know a guy. Made several people famous.
Oh God, it's
I-
very
I-
Trump.
I want
haters
to,
right there.
whatever. It's called Chip Chat for a reason.
It is.
I want to ask you, you mentioned that you're an educator and you are, but you're also not, you're involved, you are a teacher, but you're also involved in like, some of the local arts programs that are around here, Words, Beats, and Life and
Shout out to them.
Ghana and all that stuff. Do you think that the DC region, and I don't mean just the district, but I mean regionally, the efforts to support the arts and culture are actually starting to pay off? Because it seems to me like there's a lot more of this stuff going around than there used to be.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think a lot of the resources that are here in the DMV are grossly underused, right? And that's why a lot of artists feel the way they feel. Sometimes it's like you just don't know that it's there, right? And so a lot of the workshops that my business has done in the past, we try to make it free or really, really cheap to attend, just so people didn't have the excuse of not like being able to get the info. And so and then shout out to Words, Beats, and Life, where if you're like a youngin' of a certain age, I mean, they offer free programming to kids as young as like elementary school age all the way up to like 22 years old. And so I'm not teaching with them during the summer, I'm doing other work with them during the summer, but I mean, we offer like music business classes for free through them, right? Like for teens and stuff like that. So there's a ridiculous amount of things being put in place and infrastructure being created to support the arts here. If you're a person that's a bit older, obviously, and can't be a part of Words, Beats, and Life, if you're a college student, you could literally be a part of Grammy U and be a part of the Recording Academy and be in the room with not just other.
Added to the academy, by the way.
Yeah, man, you could be in the room with not just other entertainers or other vocalists and rappers, etc. You could be in the room with entertainment lawyers, managers, right? People who book for venues, a long list of folks who are also a part of the academy, and build your network and be in a room with people who have decades worth of experience and just giving out game. Now, granted, if you're a part of Grammy U, that doesn't cost. But if you're not in college and want to do that, we're talking about like $150 a year to invest in your career. You know what I mean? And put yourself around professionals who aren't like sometimes the biggest artists, right? But these people are making moves globally or bare minimum locally. So you want to put yourself around folks who are in positions that you hope to be in someday, And that's definitely available to you in the DMV.
And we're out there supporting. I mean, we've had several folks affiliated with the local arts programs on our show. Javier Starks and
that's my bro.
We do a lot of that, and I want to say that we're part of that infrastructure.
You want to say you're a part of it?
Well, I mean, why
not? Another question: like, if you had a magic wand and you could make a specific part, like the business side of music, disappear, what part of that would you make disappear immediately? There's my magic wand sound. I ain't even got that sound for that.
Look at that.
Wow, if I could make a part of it disappear.
Yeah, just like just the business side of it, like this, we don't got to do this no more.
He wants to get rid of capitalism. Just say get rid of capitalism.
Oh man, yo, that's
that was a hard question.
It is, because like it's always like, what would you change? And we're so used to changing things that our first idea isn't to like get rid of something completely. A lot of times,
like what's not fun? What's just not fun part of it? Like
invoicing.
Oh man, listen, I don't know about you, bro. I like creating invoices and sending them out.
I was like, what? Or whatever.
You know what I mean?
Paperwork.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't. This part I wouldn't get rid of. I think there needs to be a better way to for when you are taking care of your publishing, when you are setting up like your distribution, when you're setting up things for sound exchange, you know, and a ton of these other, like all of these different ways that money is collected from your music. There needs to be a better way to streamline that, right? Because a ton of artists are missing out on money. They're literally leaving money on the table because they don't know that, yo, there's no one place to take care of all this stuff, right? Like I gotta create an account. I gotta create an account and then pay for membership to set up this thing so I can collect money. Oh, now I also have to pay and set up this thing to set up this account so I can get money. Oh, now not only do I have to sign up for this thing, but I've been making music for 20 years and didn't know that I needed to do this. And now I got to register hundreds of songs in order for me to collect money from this thing, right? Like this, I mean, and this thing is, and if you're an indie artist and you don't have a huge team around you, right? Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And of course, for everything that you don't know how to do, you're either going to have to pay someone else to do it, or any money that's coming from, I mean, you know, you're going to divide the pie up. And yeah, man, that's the toughest part. You know, somebody like me who's very familiar with all that stuff, it's difficult for me because I'm actively creating, and then I'm actively supporting other creatives. But then I got to remember to make sure I got all of my paperwork in order on top of making sure that this album's mixed. But then, oh, wait, I'm a visual artist. So I design the covers myself too, right? And then like, you know, and
shoes. Like, when did you find time to make those shoes?
Bro, this is what I'm saying. I'm a glutton for pain, bro. Like, I mean, like, and the wild thing is, you know, I'm making it sound like I'm doing this all myself. Like, fam, it took, like when I tagged the people who, on a post I did today who contributed to my album, like, you know, I got up to 20 people who contributed to helping me make my record in some way, shape, or form. And that wasn't everybody, right? You know, I'm tagging the stylist. I'm tagging, like, the clothing company that I get my dashikis from. I'm tagging, the distributor. I'm tagging all of these people, everyone who played on the record. And that's still not everybody. But even with all of that, right? Even with all of that, there's still a ton of folks, that, like, even with all of that support, what I meant to say is, even with all of that support, there's still, it still feels like impossible, right? And that's why these major labels, they're never going to be completely irrelevant, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because, yo, they have the manpower, right? They have a staff of a ridiculous amount of people who are
factories.
Yeah, who are dedicated to all
stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of artists don't understand why we get paid so little when our stuff sells and stuff, you know. And it's because when you realize that, like, think about how many people work at this label and are on salary, right? Like, are paid salary, right? You're getting paid based on what your thing do, but they have so many artists, so many records, that what that stuff makes overall is enough for them to pay out salaries to God knows how, tens of people, in some cases hundreds of people around the world for one company that is branched off in other countries, right? And they control these records, and these records are you know, taking care of other people's health care, taking care of other people's this, that, and the third, largely because there is no way possible for you as an individual to manage all of these things and chase down all of these resources and all of the revenue streams that are available to you just for your record.
Somebody figure out an app for that. That's one of those game changer apps.
Yeah, I mean, what you're seeing now is distributors who are finding ways to incorporate certain things, like, to, you know, for you to plug in information so that way your publishing can be like registered, so that's taken away, you know, at least one step, right? And now they're doing a better job of, you know, including certain apps or whatever, where, like, for example, if you're on SoundCloud, right, your music is being monetized whether you're paying for the pro version of SoundCloud or not. So in other words, if you only have a free account on SoundCloud is still running ads on your music, right? For people, who have, who don't have paid accounts on there to listen to music, right? So ads are running. That's money, right? Ad revenue is coming to SoundCloud. You don't get any of that unless you decide to pay $8 a month. So you got to pay in order to get money from your stuff. So there's a cost. And yeah, bro, it's ridiculous. And so,
all right. So we'll put all this to bed. Call Jay Yoko and talk to her about this and like get together and make like the single artist app. That's her big thing. And it's like y'all need to get paid, and we are fake artists. So, well, you're a real artist, but we do this fake thing and we're not getting paid for it. All right. So we want to shift gears ever so slightly to the end of this. We want to let you know that we have been monetizing your stuff. You're very, very famous for a thing that I don't know if you know that you're famous for.
Oh no.
So just
oh no.
All right, yeah. So Bryan, hit the sound.
Florida or not?
Okay, so if you probably remember from various times you've been on the show that we play this game called Florida or Nah.
Florida or not?
Yeah, and the very first or maybe third time that we asked you to play this, you said
Florida or not?
And it was really funny.
Because you corrected. It was like almost like a correction.
Yeah.
We were like, you ready to play Florida or not? You're like, Florida or not?
Yeah. So we play this basically every week. We have
my God.
But you're very famous.
That's hilarious.
He's an international hip hop star, but what he's really famous for is
Florida or not?
There you go. All right. So are you ready to play Florida or not?
I'm ready to play. Let's do it.
All right. Bryan, hit the sound.
Florida or
there
not?
There you go.
That's hilarious.
All right. Do you remember the rules of this game?
I don't. You got to refresh my memory.
The way this works is we're going to read you a news story with the locational details removed. All you got to do is tell us whether this happened in Florida or not in Florida.
Florida or not?
There you go.
There it is.
Yo, this is wild.
Are you ready?
Yo, I'm so ready. Let's go.
Okay. The owner of an auto repair shop who paid a former employee with 91,500 oily pennies has been ordered by a judge to pay nearly 4 million more cents. A federal judge ruled that Miles Walker, who owns AOK Walker Auto Works in such and such a city, owes $39,934 to 9 workers for unpaid overtime and damages. Attorneys for Walker agreed to the payments to settle a civil lawsuit brought by the U.S. Labor Department that accused Walker of retaliating against a former employee named Andres Flatten, maybe? I don't know, in 2021.
Flatten's better.
Yeah. After Flatten filed a complaint with the agency saying Walker owed him a final $915 paycheck, the employer dumped that amount in oil-covered pennies on Flatten's driveway. The amount of loose change came with a pay stub signed with an expletive. The Labor Department said further investigation found that Walker's business had also violated overtime provisions of the Federal Fair Standards and Labor Act. The judge on June 16th signed a consent order in which Walker agreed to pay nearly $8,700 more to Flatten in owed overtime and damages. 8 other workers are to receive amounts between $14,640 and $513 within the year. Quote, the court has sent a clear message to employers such as Miles Walker who subject employees to unfair wage practices and outright intimidation and retaliation, said the Labor Department solicitor.
Wow.
Wow. Right. Did this happen in Florida or not in Florida?
I'm going with Florida.
It's a good guess. Show your work.
Oh, I gotta explain why.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's when he said the whole like they went and poured it in their driveway, right? I feel like as somebody who spent a lot of time in Florida, I see a lot more like homes and stuff like down there than apartments. So I feel like it's definitely somewhere down south more than likely. You know what I mean? I feel like it's below the Mason-Dixon for sure, but I'm going to go with Florida.
Okay, well, it's very sound reasoning.
Just sound reason.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, no.
This is in Peachtree City, actually, just outside of Atlanta.
It was down south.
It is down
south.
south. There are a lot of driveways below the line, but unfortunately not in Florida. So, I don't know, Brian, how would you say that? Oh, we're working.
Florida or not?
There you go. Big not. I'm sorry. Substantially, you lost the game.
Or not now.
Yeah, now. All right, so we know you have a tour. There you go. We know you have a tour going on.
Exactly. It's our whole show.
When-
Loser Game Show.
When is your next tour dates? Where can everybody get in touch and follow you and get the music and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, man. The website is iamsubstantial.com. No out of state joints coming up. Well, the events that I got going on, I'll be at BlurredCon on the weekend, July 7th through the 9th. I'll be there on the 8th and 9th, both vending, also performing. We're doing our Sketchpads joint, which is a live art and music lounge. I'll be doing a beat set there and then performing on the outdoor stage. So that's coming up. I'll also be in NYC the day before, July 7th, for my man G's release party that's going on. After that, I'm at Otakon, also happening in the DMV. That's happening at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. I'll be doing Sketchpads there as well, doing another beat set with the homie Katie Fox, celebrating her manga that I had the pleasure of producing an instrumental album for. So we got that going on. Then I'm performing at Conjutsu, which is happening in Fairfax, Virginia, on August 19th through the 20th. Just got hit up about a hip-hop celebration for hip-hop's 50th. That's happening in D.C. Those details are forthcoming, though. So I'll keep y'all posted. But those are the upcoming gigs. I got stuff booked all the way into next year. I'll be at ChromaCon in March 2024 in Baltimore. I can keep forgetting. I got a Baltimore joint happening. There's a lot going on. The Baltimore joint happening on June 30th with the Baltimore Boom Bap Society. Shout out to Wendell Patrick, amazing producer. Him and his brothers, they put that on. Shout out to Eric as well. But yeah, man.
At least you're not busy.
Yeah, right?
Right. Bro. Oh, man.
Sheesh.
Well, with all of that, since it sounds like you're going to be very busy and you need to get some rest, and we have a third half of the show to do, we're going to play one of your songs, and we're going to head out of here. One more time, what's the website? Where can everybody follow you?
Yeah, iamsubstantial.com. You can check that out. And if you just Google Substantial and hip-hop, I'll pop up.
Coming up.
Yeah.
All right, Substantial, thank you so much for coming
Thank you,
back on our
Substantial.
show. We really
Appreciate y'all, man.
We're huge fans, and we cannot wait. We're going to throw on one of your tracks, and we're going to take a break. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Florida or not?
I remember way back in the days. I remember way back in the days.
Do you remember? Taking your back from before this fall. Do you remember? Yeah. Never aimed to be a caricature. Always working on my character, bruh. People say they want the real, and I'm here still. But where is the love? Put on for PG4. I heard somebody rep where I'm from. Worldwide, I get it done before I overdo it. Share my soul, but I don't wanna lose it. Wasn't put here for your amusement. You gon' respect the man more than you respect the music. But where your safety is determined by your address. I've lived long enough to be legends and gain some assets. Though it's rugged where we struggle through the madness. Always knew we had more to offer, although we had less. Through it all, it was always me and my mother. My sisters before they moved out, and occasionally my brother. The homies and the radio that stayed on 1580. TV on the box locked, hoping one day that they play me non-stop, son. Back when me rapping wasn't as lucrative and hot once. Wasn't a show that the interview you with. Hostile, no poetic justice, only punitive. Cops wasn't fucking with us daily. We weren't doing shit regardless. Treat you like a felon though. Trying to sell my demo, so I kinda was selling dough. Was more addictive than the music, acceptance. So we learned to turn our curses into blessings. Funny, our souls are fair. We're starving artists, no matter the road ahead. We make progress if you know. A little favor for your soul. Keep on, I write like a poem you read. To be honest, lift it up before I rest my head. It's not as promise if you know. A little favor for your soul. Enjoy.
A little kid from Fort Washington was always a Iverson Mall playing basketball in my David Robinsons. I moved to PG County when I was 5 or son, was rhyming some, but wasn't that biggie like Bedford Stuyvesant. I had the butter Timbs, but Rick had the double soles. We was like brothers, so we would borrow each other's clothes. Get the most girls' numbers was our summer goals, and when she looked down at my feet, she'd be like, "What are those?" Jonah was our favorite pastime. Better not be outside if it was past 9. Dancing at the house parties. Now you trying to smash, huh? I was playing video games, Sega and Capcom, Fashions, RP55. And ain't they played Work the Walls like 50 times? At Patches Corner pool parties, it was really live. With your peach, Rock Creek, and some chili fries. Susan High's my alma mater. I was brought around a lot of different problem starters. Thought about just how to solve them calm and never thought of bothered. Even when it's hotter water, taught to keep it cooler than when you wearing the Eddie Bauer Parker. We would park up at the park and just spark up. Wasn't really long before a freestyle would start up. Run back and do my homework. Think of how my day be. Turn on the radio and just vibe to 1580.
Funny, our souls are fair. We're starving artists, no matter the road ahead. We make progress if you know. A little favor for your soul. Keep on, I write like a poem you read. To be honest, with the
What's popping up?
Thank you to Substantial.
Yes.
That was one of his new tracks
Great
off his
song,
new
great
record.
interview.
It's called Adultish. You should go get it. Go check him out on Bandcamp. He's all kinds of cool stuff. I bought the pre-sale on the record, and I also got this really cool thing. It is a USB flash drive with the entire discography so far, but it is a cassette tape.
Oh, as the flash drive?
Yes. So I can
That's
play
dope.
it as a cassette, and I can listen to it with the flash drive on the computer.
Wait, both technologies work
I think it plays
as a cassette?
like it's the right shape and it's got the head on it.
There's no way his discography fits on a cassette.
No, it fits. It's digital.
Oh, but you're saying the cassette is actually a
Like
working
I can stick it in my
Okay,
my
all right.
tape deck.
I thought you meant that the cassette worked and the digital.
No,
okay,
no, but it's a digital thing that I can put in my tape deck. I think. Not 100% sure. I haven't got it yet, but
actually, I see
You
how
can see
that.
how that would work.
Now I see exactly
right,
because
because
the head.
the head is all that
Yes,
matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
You had the thing with your Discman, so you could play it in
Yeah, of
your
course,
car.
yeah.
Of course. Okay, so like
It was
it's
so
that.
much better than the FM transmitter.
Right. Oh shit, those things were terrible.
Just $80, people will
Yeah,
get
they're all
thrown away
fuzzy
every time.
and shit.
Terrible.
And then you be in some frequency and you get near somebody else. And
Yeah,
it's terrible.
you heard the music.
Okay. Oh, shit. Breaking news.
More draft.
Actually, it's of course it's a draft. Okay, we have a trade by the Wizards, the Buzzards, or the Boulay.
The buzzards.
So okay, remember I said earlier that they drafted for their 8th pick Jarvis Walker. Well,
Yes.
guess what? Mr. Walker
We
is
traded him.
walking to, or better yet, he's pacing himself to Indiana. So the Pacers picks him up, and they give away to give the Wizards Bali Coulibaly.
That's that 7-8 one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Bali Coulibaly, and 2 second-round draft picks.
So
So
we're
actually,
just
the
racking picks.
Wizards get the rights. So the Pacers get the 2 draft picks and Walker, and the Wizards get Coulibaly.
Somebody's playing fantasy baseball or basketball, whatever it is.
Could be playing baseball at this
Should
point.
be.
This fact.
I don't know. Whatever. We're probably screwing it up.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, the bigger news that we probably won't get to is that Ted wrestled, and it wasn't wrestled because people are trying to give away these regional sports networks, but Monumental bought NBC Sports Network. And it is, yes, that happened 2 days ago.
That is a big deal.
And I think that is a play for the Nationals.
That makes sense.
That could be it. I don't know how you. I mean,
as long as there's a place I can watch Caps every week.
Yeah, that's done.
Day,
No,
It's
the
the
same
Monumental
channel.
will have the Caps, the
Yes.
Wizards, the Mystics,
Yes.
and
the Go-Go's.
probably the Go-Go's.
Yeah, I would
Let's
assume the
hope so.
Go-Go's. And that random MMA fight that comes on at
Yeah,
like
right.
1 a.m. It's just on.
All right. Before we get to the rundown, I do have to tell you a quick story that happened to me last week while you were running the show.
Okay, yeah.
I was off at this conference and I was riding out to go meet with some people after hours to meet this guy who has never met me before, and everybody else in the car had
met you.
Yeah.
So
And-
we're meeting somebody's meeting you for the first time.
Right. And they're like, what should we do? And I said, I've got an idea.
Oh no.
So we go out there
No.
and we're like, yeah, it's nice to meet you. And the guy's name is Todd. So Todd, if you're listening, this is your story. So they tell Todd, oh, this is
Could you tell people you meet that you do a radio show?
No.
Oh, I see. So he's not listening.
No, he's not
Okay,
listening.
all right.
So we go out there and they go, yeah, this is our new guy. He's Australian. And they go, oh, Todd's like, oh, it's nice to meet you. And I'm like, right, it's nice to meet you too. Right. So I stayed Australian the whole night.
Jesus.
And it was great. And this guy bought it.
Of
Like
course.
lock,
yeah.
stock, and barrel. And he's and he's like introducing me to everybody. He's like, hey, did you meet this guy? He's Australian. He's and I'm meeting all these people. And right, crikey, mate, it's good to meet you. Doing the whole thing. It was so funny. We all had a really good time.
Yeah.
And then we went home. And then we went to the next event the next night. And Todd was there.
Flipped it
And
off.
we're like, we have a decision to make
Do we
here.
keep this going?
Do we keep it up or do we just play it off and be like, no, Todd, you were drunk and you don't remember right? So what should we have done?
You flip it on them and tell them they were drunk and they don't remember.
I went back and forth.
Oh, God.
I had no idea. So like sometimes I'm Australian, sometimes I'm Australian guy doing an American accent.
Like,
So when he heard me talking
is
like
that
this,
Russell
he was
Crowe?
like, oh yeah, he's doing his American accent. Isn't it really good? Totally bought it. He's a big client too.
There you
So,
go.
it'll be good.
Of course, yeah. No, I love the Australian guy.
He loves the Australian guy.
Yeah, you got to run.
Several of his friends did too. It was a pretty good deal. Totally worked.
This country loves accents.
It's amazing, right? All right. Speaking of accents, Texas. Dateline, Austin, Texas. Breaking news. Today we found out. Now we've covered on the show that the suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's been impeached, is about to go on trial in the Texas Senate. And there's this one problem that his wife is a senator there in Texas. There she is, Angela. They voted today to forcibly recuse her.
Which
She
I had
is-
never heard. Like,
She is kicked out.
I thought usually when you recuse, you got to recuse yourself. I didn't know you could
That's usually how it goes. The
forcibly
Texas
recuse.
State Senator Angela Paxton was barred from voting in the impeachment trial that could lead to her husband's permanent removal from office. The Republican-controlled Senate decided Wednesday night. They had a vote. And they're like, should we let her vote on her husband? And they're like,
No.
no. or more likely, not.
Or not.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
All right. So that's some bit of Texas news. There's
Is that
more.
a good or bad thing? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I
have no
think
clue.
like from a legal perspective, this
Yes.
is the right thing
Yeah,
to
of
do.
course.
Of course. But from our perspective of a comedy radio show, no, they should have let her in there.
Yeah.
The opportunity for chaos is hilarious.
Yeah, right.
And Texas government sucks.
Neighbor Clarence never accused himself.
No, neither does Scalito, which we're going to get to. But speaking of legal chaos in Texas, this is probably going to shock all of you, but Texas hates workers. Okay. Texas is a lawless wasteland.
That's what it's built on.
Yes.
That is the inception of this
Yes.
territory, state,
Slave colony.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's that, hey, oh, wait a minute. They're trying to impose rules here. We're going to Texas.
That's right. So Texas is
GGT.
a lawless wasteland.
I feel like that about Virginia too.
We're getting better.
I don't know. There's a lot of Virginia
Wait
tags in
till you see
DC
we're
right
gonna
now.
get better.
And I
It's
don't know
gonna
what
get-
happens.
Don't put
Why
that
is
on
it
me.
so easy for people to get tags in Virginia?
I stayed on my side.
Anyways, good God.
All right. So Texas is a lawless wasteland. So some of the counties and municipalities and other, jurisdictions within Texas were like, well, since we don't have any state laws governing how people ought to, manage stuff, we're going to pass our own building codes, safety regulations, crosswalks, basic stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in the absence of state government, seems pretty reasonable. Well, back in Austin, Greg Abbott was rolling up on an idea. Here's a quote. A law in Texas will soon override labor ordinances statewide that guarantee, among other things, construction workers are given a 10-minute break to drink water and rest in the shade.
This is how buildings collapse, y'all. When we don't give 10-minute breaks for water for construction workers. I'm just letting you know right now, this is what happens.
So, on a basic level, Texas's point of a patchwork of laws, county by county, isn't really good for business.
It sounds like their electrical system.
And I agree. It's not great. Just like a federal lack of gun laws and a patchwork state by state is pretty shitty. Doesn't work that well.
It works if
Clearly-
you want your children to be killed.
Yeah, in schools or otherwise, malls, whatever, Walmarts. But so, the counties are being the states and they're like, yo, this shit doesn't work. And if Texas had said, what we need is a basic regulatory framework that mostly is uniform across the state, and here's some basic worker protections, this law would have been probably fine. It wouldn't have been terrible, wouldn't have been great, but it wouldn't have been terrible. Instead, what it says is no county and no city can make any laws protecting anybody from anything. It's only the state law, and everybody else can fuck clean off.
I mean, who needs water breaks? It's not like it's hot in Texas.
Ted Cruz. I mean, of the dumbest things, since 2010, at least 53 Texas workers have died of heat-related illness, according to NPR and a Columbia journalism investigation. Climate change has made Texas heat worse. A report from the state's climatologist, they have a state climatologist, you know that?
Yeah.
Estimates
On
that
the
the number
payroll?
of 100-degree days is expected to nearly double by 2036 compared to the decade before, 20 years before. There is no national heat protection standard for outdoor workers, so the OSHA rules rely on states and cities to establish their own, which Texas has now obliterated. It's not that companies can't give breaks. They can. But now they can also fire people for taking breaks.
Sounds like
Because-
Amazon.
Yes. Because the county can't step in and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. They're going to be like, that guy in the chair said this is all right. Because Greg Abbott doesn't need water breaks. He's not running anywhere
The guy in the
except
chair.
for
The
re-election.
guy in the chair in Texas, I just go immediately to like a death penalty.
Similar
Similar.
chair. It's also worth noting that while Greg Abbott was on the state Supreme Court, he capped the same settlement deal that got him paid $14,000 a month with inflation for the rest of his life, plus $5.7 million.
It's the Bonilla deal.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got Bobby Bo Day every month. He capped it at $250,000, which is incidentally just exactly the amount necessary to get yourself buried at the Titanic. Hit the bell, for God's sakes. Thank you.
I don't know if I endorsed that.
Speaking of the
Hard to
Titanic,
stop it.
Oh God.
speaking of the Titanic, let's talk about fishing.
Jack.
Yes. I still haven't seen that movie. Don't tell me what happens. Does the boat make it?
No. What
Oh.
happens is all the immigrants down below rise up above and say proletariat unite.
Good.
And it becomes a socialist boat.
And then?
Then it sinks.
Oh, shit. I guess I don't have to see it then.
No.
Sorry, Celine Dion. Okay, so speaking of the Titanic, let's talk about fishing.
Everybody, hey, you know what?
You
I
like
know
fishing?
I do enjoy fishing.
I love fishing.
No issues with fishing.
I haven't gone
usually
fishing
go
in
to
a long time.
me either, but I usually go to sleep on the boat.
I don't even do it on a boat. I do it on the side of the pond or the creek or whatever.
I would sleep there too, but it's a great sleeping sport.
Fishing is lovely.
It's really great.
Especially you got a couple of buddies, you know, you can just go out there and like.
But you got to have rich buddies with boats.
Or airplanes.
Or
cabins.
Yeah.
You know, means of conveyance.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. And
Boats.
if you're interested in salmon, I'm gonna start this story by talking about salmon.
Okay.
You a fan of salmon?
I love salmon.
Me too.
But I tell people now, I'm all about the farm raised salmon at this point. You know why? Sustainable and less plastic in them.
Much less.
Though
they do spend time out in the ocean.
They do.
Okay. I love salmon. And like all Jewish kids, I particularly like lox.
Of course. On a bagel.
I mean, right? I'm not even a big bagel guy, but if you put lox
That's
on it,
crazy.
I'm gonna.
You're not a big bagel guy? Oh God!
Don't tell anybody.
It's like Jamaicans not like an ackee.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Well,
crazy.
I like.
It's crazy. You don't like a
Don't tell anybody I don't like
Jeez.
the bagel.
It's crazy.
Okay, so I like a bagel with some lox on it. It's nice. Little schmear, little capers, some onions. It's nice, good time, right? Where could you get salmon around here? Let's say you live in like the Washington area.
Yeah.
And you want to get some real fresh salmon.
That Pro Fish truck that's always driving around.
Yeah. But let's say you're not in the mood for hijacking. Where might you go get you some salmon?
Here?
And not the Atlantic salmon.
Yeah, I was gonna say where are you gonna get it? Potomac doesn't have salmon.
No.
You're gonna have to go
catfish, some bass.
Yeah, you have to go up north, or you have to go west, I would assume.
North and west.
North and west.
Yeah. Somewhere near like Alaska, probably.
Ah.
It's a good idea. And if you wanted to really catch some salmon, usually you need to go on an expedition to get the salmon. You stay in a cabin and, you go out fishing. You catch them while they're running, right? You don't catch salmon in the ocean.
No, they're on the way.
Catch them in the river on their way up, right? Back home to breed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when they're mature. They're more delicious.
Exactly. Tasty.
It sounds like a really good, fun time, but fairly pricey.
Yeah.
I mean, regular guys like you and me definitely can't afford to take a trip like that, maybe but once. And it would be
lifetime.
like, it's a lifetime trip, right?
Yeah.
When you retire or something like that. You've saved up for this moment.
Yeah.
Your kids buy it for you when you retire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know anybody else in DC who likes to go fishing for salmon?
I wonder, are they part of the unelected 9
There's
members?
an unelected guy. Yeah. His name's Sammy.
Sammy.
You know him?
Sammy going to find some salmon.
Sammy Scalito.
Sammy Scalito. Oh God.
He's little Scalia. Yeah. It turns out that Justice Sam Alito Jr. He's got a dad with that same name. That's rough. He went fishing,
which is cool.
Which is cool. Turns out he didn't pay for it. Who paid for it?
I assume someone who has business in front of the court.
In fact, 9 times.
Oh,
maybe
of
10
course.
times actually, depending on how you count it. Right?
Yeah.
They flew him out there for like $100,000 and then paid for all of his accommodations and stuff. But, nobody found out about it because he didn't report it on his financial disclosure forms, which is a direct violation of federal law.
I mean, that's for every judge below him, not for him.
It's for all of the judges.
No.
Technically, the way the statute's written doesn't say.
No one enforces it. They don't have it.
There's not an enforcement mechanism, but it is technically, by the letter of the law, illegal. But nobody found out about it because, again, he didn't disclose it until somebody did find out about it. Who was that, Tez? What's on the good old shirt?
We're not shutting up. ProPublica, give them the awards now.
All the Pulitzers.
They got to go on the clean sweep.
Yep. So ProPublica, continuing.
This is their new beat.
It's not their new beat. They've
Well, I
been
mean,
doing this.
They have been, but I feel
But
like
they've now they're well funded enough. They've got the
sources to go like, and it's only going to get worse for them.
Oh yeah, the sorry Republicans.
Yeah.
So yeah, they found out about it, and they were like, "Hey, man, we're running the story on a Tuesday." You know, as you do.
Yeah.
And so what did Sammy Alito do?
I'm assuming he complained about this and said it.
Yeah,
why are you attacking the court?
He went to the Wall Street Journal op-ed page and wrote a pre-buttal before the story dropped.
Oh yeah, he did try to squash it. I forgot that this came
where
out.
he told everybody that what he did was totally above board and they should all get their panties out of a bunch and it's no big deal. I mean, it was like the article details the conservative justice's relationship with the billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Singer, including their trip to an Alaskan fishing resort in 2008, according to the story that ProPublica got.
Yeah.
Right? Singer, whose hedge fund subsequently came before the court 10 times in cases involving business disputes, flew Alito to the resort in his private jet, a trip ProPublica reported would have cost Scalito more than $100,000 one way.
Which he should be able to, which he could pay from his other.
All his speaking engagements.
Yeah, exactly. The other ways he makes money.
But he didn't write it down because it's technically legal for him to he had to write it down. Alito, who wrote the landmark Dobbs decision, that struck down abortion rights, didn't list the trip on his federal disclosure forms, an omission that some ethics experts say could violate federal law. That's tough. But don't worry, he wrote his pre-buttal, which is a rebuttal, but
before it happens.
Yes.
Has anybody put the headline that Supreme Court ethics gone fishing?
No, but that's dynamite. ProPublica, if you're listening, we know you are.
Look.
Nina Totenberg, you can have that.
There you go, this week's.
All right.
Here all night.
In his journal column, try the veal. In his journal column, Alito accurately anticipated the thrust of ProPublica's not yet published article, which he
knew this was coming, yeah.
Well, because they called him for comment.
Yeah, he's like,
as real journalists do.
Yeah.
He denied he had a conflict in accepting Singer's, quote, hospitality, or was obliged to disclose the 2008 trip, quote, neither charge is valid, the justice wrote preemptively. He asserted that Singer was merely an acquaintance with whom he spoke only fleetingly with during the fishing trips and said he was not aware of Singer's connections to any subsequent court matter. Alito said he accepted an offer on a
Does he work without clerks? What do you mean you weren't? What do you mean?
Not only that, but like the guy's name is on all of the hedge funds.
Yeah.
So he's lying, Tez. I don't know if you know this.
I know.
But he's a sack of shit and he's lying to you and everybody else.
Is the least corrupt justice from the Republican nominees Amy Coney Barrett?
Maybe.
That's kind of crazy.
Gorsuch, maybe. No, Gorsuch.
No,
yeah. And Beer Can Brett's a rapist, but he's not corrupt. Roberts is super corrupt.
Yes.
There's no.
Yet trying to protect the legitimacy of the
ACB.
court.
We just don't know how corrupt she is.
Yeah.
She's too new.
Learn.
Alito said he accepted the offer on Singer's private plane because it would otherwise have been unoccupied.
Oh, wait. So hold on. I've been on planes recently, and I've seen a couple open first class seats. If they're unoccupied, I can just go sit down in them.
I mean, it works in a stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that, right? You know, you're at a ball game. There's nobody there. You know, you just move down.
But you don't go to the Diamond Club.
No. And
that's what this plane is.
If they come over and go, sir, are these, you know, like, okay, all right, you got me. You just go back. They said they were otherwise unoccupied. A commercial flight, he wrote, would have imposed costs on taxpayers who would have had to pay for the deputy U.S. Marshals to provide security for him to fly. He also disputed ProPublica's apparent characterization of the fishing resort, calling it, quote, misleading. Quote, I stayed 3 nights in a modest one-room unit at the King Salmon Lodge.
Wait, do the salmon stay there? Or do the people stay there?
It's just named after him. I think.
Okay.
Hold on, it gets better. A comfortable but rustic facility with, quote, home-style meals, he wrote, adding, I cannot recall if we were served wine, but if there was, it was certainly not wine that cost $1,000.
Rustic. So anytime
Well,
we
you know,
use
he's
rustic,
roughing it.
if we use rustic, that means it's really expensive. Home style meals means some black people were cooking for you.
Means it came in a bowl that you had to share with a spoon.
Yeah.
The reason I brought up bagels and lox
Mhm.
is not just because that is what is made out of salmon. It's because of a story that comes to us from another Supreme Court justice. It's not in the script, so don't bother looking for it.
Okay.
As you may know, Justice Elena Kagan, cousin of mine,
Yeah.
fellow member of the tribe. She's from New York. You know, she is somebody who enjoys a good bagel and lox.
Yeah.
At several points during her career, having moved here to Washington, having been nominated and then confirmed to the Supreme Court, her friends back home in New York have thought, you know, she must miss home. We should send her a care package.
Mm.
So they proceeded to assemble a care package of New York Jewish delicacies.
Mm.
Babkas, bagels, lox,
Pastrami.
proper cream cheese. Yes,
Oh,
pastrami,
The best
all
thing.
of
That's
this.
the best thing out of
coleslaw.
Oh,
Good.
that's another
You don't
one.
ship coleslaw though.
Can't ship them.
So they were all prepared to send this down. And they were like, hey, Elena, just be ready, you know, because like you don't want this stuff to go bad. So like when it gets to your door, like go pick it up right away. And they said, we're sending you a care package. She said, actually, don't do that. And they said, what are you talking about? It's like, you know, a $50 care package. We got it from the catalog. She said, I can't accept that because I don't want anybody to think that I'm, you know, on the take. I want to be above board at all times. I got to remain scrupulous with my consumption of salmon. Whether it comes from New York, having been properly smoked and salted by the finest, almost rabbis and guys arguing about weird stuff in the Mets.
Weird stuff in the Mets. Great sentence.
Look, I know my people. Or maybe she should have just gotten on a plane
Private
from a
one.
billionaire, flown to Alaska, hung out with the billionaires, the leader of the Federalist Society, Leo, he was there.
Big Leo.
Yep. And then caught her own salmon, salted it, and brought it back and put it on her own bagels. That would have been totally above board, would have only been, you know, $250,000, incidentally, the cost of a grave at the Titanic. Would have only
Jesus
been
Christ.
$250,000 and not disclosed it on her financial forms, which all would have been fine, except that it's not.
This is Harlan surprising.
Give me. You're going to catch some crow for that one.
Look at these dead ass birds.
That might be the best thing. Yeah. That's a 3-piece combo. Spicy with the fries. Woo, that's so good. That is so good.
God damn.
Damn.
All right, Brian. You win.
Yo, yeah, you got it. I'm
This
sorry.
is Brian's best night.
I'm
yet.
just here. That wow. Oh shit, that's crazy.
So what are we going to do about Squirrely Alito here?
I mean, these are corrupt justice.
Yes.
Roberts looks at Congress when they ask him to come and talk and is like, well, that seems kind of weird. Why would I go talk to you guys? Like, well, what do you have to do with us?
Separation of powers.
Yeah, like, no, it is evident that the Republican justices are just on the take, but we knew that. There's just proof now. Like,
But for dumb shit.
Jesus.
Okay.
But
like,
imagine the things we haven't come out yet.
Yeah, we
That's the
haven't found
thing.
it yet.
Yeah.
if all you wanted was some lox, man, I could have helped you out.
No, but they're
Like, call me, Sammy. I'll grill for you. That's fine. And if you keep
what do they
from,
make?
like,
What do they
being
make a year?
corrupt-
125 or what? Or 200,000?
No, yeah,
something like
200,000,
2,000?
something like that.
Like,
You can afford locks.
They want to be rock stars. They like this, the lifestyle that this affords them, whether it's speaking engagements, whether they can go on there.
They can go on their speaking engagements. They can
Yeah,
do
no
all
one even
that.
cares about that. Yeah.
Just
Write it down.
report it. For the love of God, if he'd have reported this, probably wouldn't have been another Pulitzer for ProPublica.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Probably
P's
not.
in that sentence, by
That's
the way.
a lot of P's.
Probably wouldn't have been another Pulitzer for ProPublica.
Yeah, you need a pop filter for that one.
I need a hip hop album after that.
Hey, right now, yeah, hey, popping peas.
Right. Okay. You want to do a little test talk?
Yeah. Just this transitions into just being a sad one. This is the only. Please don't play the Dennis Burst. We've already got that out the way. This just goes to show that while you can maybe win gold for your country, in the Olympics, you can die in the same country when you're 8 months pregnant. And I'm talking about Tori Bowie, who, if you haven't heard of her story, she died and she was 8 months pregnant. And I want to say it's preeclampsia. I want to say is the condition. And what I found really interesting about this story, not interesting, is more so that a lot of folks kind of like, there were so many other people sharing their stories. And what we see in this country is like maternal health for Black women in this country is
abysmal.
It's abysmal. And like, it's not like, all right, we get like, okay, you think, oh, it's poor Black women who are probably suffering. And yes,
nope.
that's happening. But
yeah, it was also almost Serena Williams.
Beyonce has talked about this. Here,
an
Bowie is
Olympic
dead.
gold medalist.
Gold medalist. And I just it strikes kind of a nerve because we know that this is happening and no one seems to be saying, it's almost like, well, so that whatever. Like
Black women in other countries who have less developed quote unquote healthcare than us have better maternal mortality rates than we do.
Yeah. Here's some numbers around this. The number of Americans dying while giving birth or in the weeks after have been increasing since 2018. And they increased from 658 of that year in 2018 to 1,205 in 21.
Double.
Yeah. Like, again, and this is amongst like the richest countries. And I think another piece of this story, and the post is that's a really long story. Like, go read it. The overlooked and like near misses of how this happens. If you factor that in, childbirth would be lethal for about 120,000 women in 2021. And also to remember, this is a population that's getting older, that the birth rate is declined. I wonder why. And
we need people in this country.
Yeah, you don't want to bring the immigrants in.
Well,
you're killing the babies that are here. But yet
you're killing their mothers.
You're killing their mothers.
You won't feed them. Can't have a minimum wage.
And I think also, too, another piece that as I sit here now, and I think of, like we just talk about Alito and the Dobbs decision, right? You have an unelected set of folks who have determined that they know what's best for women in this country.
Shit, they almost determine, well, they're maybe going to determine what is a drug and what is not. The mifepristone thing
that is a good point.
I mean, I'm challenging Viagra tomorrow.
Right.
Like tomorrow. Matter of fact, I'm throwing Tylenol the fuck off the shelf. Let's let them go decide that. I'll find a judge that hates Tylenol.
So it's just one of those, but the amount of women, and specifically Black women, who kind of like, oh, wow, sharing their stories and like, oh, this almost like, this was like a near-death experience for me, or like, hey, I had these complications during pregnancy. And again, we know there's an overall issue of healthcare in this country, but it is very specific. This issue is specific to Black women, no matter, and like usually you can look at things like class, or you can even like education, but this goes across the board at this point. It's not like it's one set of, like, again, usually like the poor having these issues.
If a rich Black woman walks into a hospital pregnant and says, I feel pain, the doctors ignore her as easily as they ignore any other black woman in this country.
Right. And
money does not buy access in this case.
And one thing that like was mentioned in the story is that Miss Bowie was like hell bent on not having her child in a hospital. Right. And like for me, again, I start saying, oh, well, now this is like the self-fulfilling prophecy right now. And the cycle becomes because, all right, well, like it's similar to like white folks and the police. Like, well, why wouldn't you want the police to come help you?
Yeah,
why wouldn't you
call the cops?
Yeah, of course, they're here to help.
Right.
Why wouldn't you go have your baby in the hospital?
Why
They're here to
wouldn't you
help.
go? Yeah.
But no, like,
I've had several babies in the hospital and
everything's fine.
The people were lovely. They brought me ice chips, whatever.
Exactly. And it's just like I saw them like, well, some people will probably look and be like, well, again, you should have went and had your baby in the hospital, but she's probably looking at, no, I can look at stories,
statistics where 30% of the people who have their babies in the hospital freaking die because the hospital doesn't listen to black women.
Right. And again, this is an increasingly common choice. And as you mentioned there, right, black women, they go into the hospital and just healthcare in general, and there are just these racist like stereotypes and like the whole like Reagan welfare queen shit and
drug
the caricatures. Yeah,
black folks don't feel as much pain as white folks. Their skin is thicker. Needles don't work on them. It's like the list is insane, and the amount of the medical establishment that believes this stuff is insane. It's not like a handful. It's like 50 or more % of the entire accredited medical establishment thinks that black folks feel pain differently than white folks.
And everybody hates to say, like, everybody's like, oh, slavery was so long ago. This is one of those things. There's a through line from that directly to where we're at now.
Obstetrics comes from that.
Yes. Right. I was going to say gynecology. Where does that even come from? Right, exactly.
Oh, well, we want to say, we have no idea how women work, but I've got this collection of them that you can do anything you want to.
Bring in the wench.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Give me one of those ones I can take apart and figure out how it works. It's like an Oldsmobile. This is not. This shit is it's like 2 generations ago.
And the thing is, like, it's always been higher for like black women, but it's never been this high.
No.
And like, that's kind of getting worse, which we could probably say about a lot of things in this country here, which it feels like I get where people feel like we're going backwards.
We're making America great again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some. Yeah, so I just thought it's a tragic story. I mean, 8 months pregnant. And also, too, actually, all 3 of the women who I think medaled in Rio all had complications with their pregnancies. There it is right there. All 3 Olympic gold medal. I mean, all 3 on the medal stand medalists had issues with pregnancy. And yeah, I don't like, I talk all the time. I'm like, well, thank God we had one successfully. And this is like, because why would you roll the dice again? Like to even like to lose, like to more than likely, I think that's sad to say, but I think I can say that more than likely have a complication. And
well, the older you get, the more likely those complications are. And a medical establishment that doesn't listen to you, on the low end.
It's the exact opposite of what should be happening, right?
It's exactly the opposite. On the low end, okay? I live in a white suburban society where everybody gets listened to by everybody they talk to. And I watch it. There is a medical bias against women in general. Even the white women get dismissed.
Yeah.
This hurts. No, it doesn't. You're crazy. You're just feeling things. Do you have your time or whatever? Like, I'm freaking pregnant, whatever, idiot. Like, I'm telling you this hurts. Go get the thing that looks at the baby and get the sonogram or whatever. No, shut up, lady. You don't know anything. Like that happens. I seen it.
And people don't like to hear this either, but there's a thing, and NIH I had to make sure that they did a study on this, but there is like weathering of racism over like
weathering is real.
It's a real, and I know that seems crazy.
We'll have to do a whole show.
Yeah, exactly. That seems, we should.
The weathering thing is
it's so crazy,
damaging. Like, why are hypertension rates higher in Black America? and it is
Because when I
racism.
see an Impala that's driving behind me, I think it's the goddamn police that's gonna pull me over for no reason to shoot me.
Yes, and that weathering, that rise of cortisol all the time weathers people.
And again, we are like living like we talk. I think a way to look at weathering is almost like with rocks, right? And that's
Or
a
wooden
whatever
beams or
whatever it is.
Yes, it's
We're
a
like-
weathered rock.
Exactly, but again,
It's ground down.
it's ground, and
The jagged edges are smooth.
there's really no difference. Like when it comes to like, there are obviously difference between rocks and people, but it's still something that is like they're living things in a sense. They're a piece of the
Weathering is
environment.
real.
It's a real thing, and that also plays into it. So I don't.
Weathering
It's just
is real, and so is generational trauma, and so is all this stuff. I mean, and it all carries. And the result of this is that somebody who is at the absolute pinnacle of fitness
shit doesn't even make sense.
could not be more physically able,
Right.
was ultimately brought to her demise by a system that would not look past her blackness or past the fact that she was a woman. Both things at the same time. It's like a you're fucked squared.
Yeah, right. I mean, and again, I just think it's sad where, again, you talk about patriotism for your country. She wins gold for this country, and this country couldn't protect her.
And I gotta say, like, I am not somebody who gives a shit about track and field on a regular basis. I don't watch that. I don't pay attention to it. The second it's for king and country or whatever, I don't know, that's how you guys call it in England, whatever. But like when it's USA versus anybody else, all of a sudden I care a lot. I don't care about gymnastics. But when it comes to America winning, I care. I don't care about figure skating. When it comes to America, I don't care about bobsled. When it comes to I care. This person,
And we're asking people who provide care to care.
damn, that's heavy. Thanks, Tez. You wrecked the show.
Yeah, I know. As
All
I
right.
usually do. Back to
Speak-
sad stuff.
Speaking of family values, this one's a state elections. We're gonna do this quick.
All right.
North Carolina, the House Speaker. Oh shit. Let's see. North Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore started an affair with the wife of this guy.
Oh.
And then he engaged in like group sex and a bunch of other stuff. Scott Riley Lassiter is suing the speaker, Tim Moore, and an unnamed John Doe, that poor guy, for several claims, including, quote, alienation of affections and civil conspiracy. Now, those are very Southern claims.
Aliens. Hey, there it is.
Channel 9 obtained the court documents which allege that Moore, quote, used his position as Speaker of the North Carolina House of Representatives to initiate contact and develop a personal relationship with Mrs. Lassiter, despite knowing that she was married to the plaintiff. The suit says that Lassiter's spouse worked in the state government and that she had known the Republican Speaker for years. Jamie Lyles Lassiter is currently executive director of North Carolina Conference of Clerks of the Superior Court. So he works
Of
in the
course,
court system.
right.
That's fine. The lawsuit says that Lassiter heard rumors that his wife was having an affair. On December 21st of 2022, Lassiter surveilled his wife when she said that she was going to a movie with her friend, but turns out they went to a local steakhouse. And then they had sex. The House Speaker.
But they were saying this is going on for 3 years.
It
and
went
then,
on for like a long time.
and like political favors, like were some of the people they were inviting in.
This is the best part. The lawsuit says that Lassiter's wife confessed that she was having an affair for 3 years and that, quote, she had engaged in sexual activity with defendant Tim Moore, including group sex with individuals seeking Tim Moore's political favor, and that she feared ending the relationship with Moore would result in her losing her job. Don't worry, it gets better. Let's see. Oh, yeah. He went and talked, the husband went and talked to him and was like, hey, man.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I know what you're doing with my wife. And Speaker Moore was like, yeah, but is there anything I can do for you? And like offered him like some political favors. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not making that up.
Wow.
Let's see. Well, it's in here. It's in the story.
Oh, the camera. They put the lawsuit.
Yeah, he caught him
An
on
unnamed
camera.
man installed a camera on Lassiter's property to record video. Lassiter claims more either personally or through an agent authorized to act on his behalf. Requested the defendant John Doe unlawfully enter upon Lassiter's real property and place motion-activated cameras to capture photos, videos of Lassiter that Moore could use to persuade Lassiter not to pursue any of the valid legal claims against him.
On December 26th, Lassiter met with Speaker Moore at a Biscuitville in Raleigh.
Biscuitville sounds delicious.
Man, yo, is it not North Carolina or what? And Moore admitted to having a multi-year sexual relationship with his wife. According to the lawsuit, Moore asked Lassiter at the end of the meeting, quote, if there's anything he could do for the plaintiff, implying that he could use the power he held as speaker in some way to benefit the plaintiff.
This dick!
I mean, if you needed to build a house or whatever, needed,
You know, right?
permit,
A couple permits or
some
whatnot,
little- or a law passed.
Look, I mean, jobs losing jobs.
I'm not saying it's a Republican thing, but
Seems to be that.
All right, let's look at our side.
Yeah.
We don't have our best winners every now and then. Fighting Joe,
He's back.
all right. Fighting Joe Morrissey is a constant. He's a recurring character on this show. Let's just say he's notorious for having twice lost his law license.
Riddler tie.
He brought a gun onto the House floor of the State House there in Richmond to prove how easy it is to do that. He got his assistant pregnant at his law office, then married her, had 2 more kids, and then they got divorced. We covered that.
Yes, we did
on
cover
the
that.
show. He won his most recent re-election in a different county from prison, serving on a work release where he campaigned
Hey,
and had to be home by 7 o'clock every night. That's a work release program.
work.
And he was a white guy serving in a majority-minority district, but he was famous because he was also a defense attorney and had gotten most of the people who lived there's cousin or brother or whatever off. He's super popular.
Yeah.
He's jumped across 2 districts. He's been a delegate and a senator in 2 different districts now. So he's a good guy. You'll love to see him.
Yeah.
Fighting
man
Joe.
of the people.
It's called Fighting Joe because of the fist fights on the floor.
Yeah.
He lost.
Yeah,
He lost on
Once I saw
Tuesday.
that, I was like, oh, this is coming on the show. I knew it.
Yep. State Senator Joe Morrissey, the rakish, twice disbarred former prosecutor whose election win from jail in 2014 epitomized his knack for overcoming scandal, was projected to lose. He did lose to a fellow Democrat on Tuesday. He lost to, I can't get that first name right. Aird is her last name. I don't know how you say that. I'm gonna give you
Cole, where is it? Lash recess.
Lashreese. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Lashreese.
Delegate Aird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Future Senator Aird. She won. And he's done. She's 36, he's 65. Fighting Joe's dealing with his wife, who is like or ex-wife, who's, what, 22 or 27, whatever.
Sick.
I mean, pretty good.
Sick.
They had a good time. Anyway, hooray! The Virginia Democratic primary basically broke pretty left. A lot of the folks that I even voted for who were carrying the establishment tags, the Governor Dr. Ralph Northam had supported, or any of the other establishment, they lost. And the left wing won, which is, like I said, there's no bad option.
Virginia's
there.
blue, right? Right?
Yeah,
It
man.
is, right?
We're fairly purple.
I don't know if it is purple. I feel like you got enough. You've strung enough elections. I mean, I guess nationally.
I mean, we've got 2 blue senators.
2 blue senators, yeah.
And we had won several consecutive statewide races for governor, but now Youngkin's there. So,
Well, he tricked people with school shit.
We got a little
So,
snapback.
He tricked
I mean,
but anyway, he's running for. Well, he's not running for president.
Well,
he hasn't
we don't
ruled that
know
out
yet.
yet.
he's waiting to see if he can get a rubber stamp state house, and then he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But don't worry, it isn't going to matter. Trump's going to get the nomination, and all the Republicans are going to lose.
Do we think that? Yes.
I'll bet you tonight a 12-pack of your choice that Trump gets a Republican nomination. Come hell or high water.
Yeah, which is a sad. I don't even want to take that bet. I'm going to lose.
Right.
It's a losing bet.
All right. Cue the music.
Brian's like, finally.
Yeah. Brian's ready to go. All right. You do hear that music? I'm hearing the music.
I always hear that music in my head.
Right. You hear that music, which we've covered at the end of the show. We want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was so amazing. And like, I'd only written a few questions. The guy is so...
I wrote all my questions 5 seconds before we started talking to him.
Well, you know, as things come up.
Exactly.
But he's brilliant. He's great. He has hours of being on the radio, the show, and just
yeah,
be a better show.
4 days off.
Right. We want to say thank you to him, and also thank you for providing so much support.
Yeah. Or not.
Thanks to our radio partners, Stitcher, Google, WWRC, WMAL, all those guys. Thanks to NRTN. Thanks to our digital media meatball, Isaac Elam, and thanks to our home on the interwebs, CoolPlayMedia.com. Thank you always to our family here at Beltway Radio. We're found as smooth as Atlantic Kagan. Well, ethics. Right. I work with you.
You can find me on that hellscape they call Twitter.
You've been tweeting a lot.
I have been tweeting. Probably should. You can find me. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Twitter. And yeah, that's it.
I mean, find the show on Twitter at every Thursday night here on Beltway Radio and beyond at 9:30. I'm Chip, that's Tez, that's Bryan. Stan was here. You can listen to Chip at Beltway Radio and beyond.
Or not.